The bloodline just crossed a line they can never come back from. What you're about to witness isn't just another beatdown, this is a declaration of war that's going to shake WWE to its very core, and if you think you've seen chaos before, you haven't seen anything yet. Before we dive into the carnage that unfolded on Smackdown, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button right now because channels like ours survive on your support, and trust me, you don't want to miss a single moment of what's coming in the wrestling world. We're a community here at Ring Rumble, and every single one of you matters. Now let's get into the most shocking, brutal, and jaw-dropping assault that left the WWE Universe absolutely speechless. Smackdown opened not with fireworks or music, but with an eerie silence that sent chills down everyone's spine. The arena lights dimmed to an unsettling red hue, and that's when we knew something catastrophic was about to happen. Roman Reigns stood at the top of the ramp with that sinister smirk we've all come to know, flanked by Jacob Fatu, whose presence alone has been terrorizing the roster since his arrival, and Jimmy USO, who has fully embraced the darker side of the bloodline. These three men together represent the most dangerous faction WWE has ever assembled, and on this night, they had one target in mind, the beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar. Now let me take you back for a second because this didn't just come out of nowhere. For weeks, Brock Lesnar has been a thorn in Roman Reigns' side, challenging his authority, disrupting bloodline business, and making it clear that he doesn't bow down to anyone, especially not the tribal chief. Lesnar's been a one-man wrecking crew, destroying anyone associated with the bloodline, and 2 weeks ago, he delivered an F5 to Solo Sikoa that sent shockwaves through the entire WWE. That was the moment Roman knew he had to make a statement, not just to Lesnar, but to everyone watching that nobody, and I mean nobody, disrespects the tribal chief and walks away unscathed. The attack didn't happen in a match. It didn't happen during a contract signing or a face-to-face confrontation. No, this was a calculated ambush, the kind of brutal assault that makes you question whether you're watching sports entertainment or something much darker. Brock Lesnar was making his entrance, the pyro exploded, his music hit, and the crowd was electric with anticipation for what they thought would be a standard in-ring promo or maybe a match announcement. But as Lesnar walked down that ramp with his signature confidence, the lights cut out completely. Total darkness. The crowd gasped, phones lit up across the arena, and you could feel the tension building to an unbearable level. When the lights came back on, Jacob Fatu was standing right in front of Lesnar, blocking his path to the ring. Now, if you know anything about Jacob Fatu, you know this man is an absolute monster. He's got the size, the agility, and the viciousness that makes him perhaps the most dangerous member of the bloodline. Lesnar, never one to back down, got right in Fatu's face, and for a brief moment, it looked like these two titans were about to throw down right there on the ramp. But before Lesnar could make a move, Jimmy USO attacked from behind with a steel chair shot that echoed throughout the arena like a gunshot. The beast dropped to one knee, and that's when all hell broke loose. Roman Reigns walked down that ramp with the kind of calculated malice we've only seen in the darkest chapters of his championship reign. He wasn't rushing, he wasn't angry, he was cold, methodical, and terrifying. This was a man executing a plan, and every step he took was deliberate. The tribal chief raised his hand, and what followed was an assault so brutal that referees, security, and even other superstars tried to intervene, but the bloodline was unstoppable. Jacob Fatu delivered a devastating hip attack that sent Lesnar crashing into the barricade. The impact was so violent that the barricade actually broke apart, and fans in the front row scattered in panic. Jimmy USO wasn't holding back either. He grabbed that steel chair and unleashed a series of shots to Lesnar's back, each one more vicious than the last, and you could see the rage in Jimmy's eyes, the anger of a man who's been living in shadows finally stepping into the spotlight as an enforcer. But here's what made this attack different from every other beatdown we've seen. Roman Reigns didn't get his hands dirty immediately. He stood back, arms crossed, watching like a king observing his soldiers carry out his orders. This wasn't about Roman proving he could beat Lesnar in a fight, this was about sending a message about power, about dominance, about what happens when you challenge the head of the table. The crowd was in absolute chaos, some were chanting for Lesnar, others were booing the bloodline with every ounce of energy they had, but the bloodline didn't care. They dragged Lesnar's barely conscious body to the ring, rolled him under the ropes, and that's when Roman finally stepped inside. The tribal chief grabbed a microphone, looked down at Lesnar who was struggling to get to his hands and knees, and said words that will be replayed for years to come. He said, "You wanted my attention, beast? You've got it. But now you're going to learn what every single person who's challenged me has learned. I don't just beat you, I break you, I destroy you, and I make sure you never forget who runs this company." What happened next was difficult to watch even for the most hardcore wrestling fans. Roman delivered a Superman punch that connected with such force that Lesnar's head snapped back violently. Then came the spear, but not just one spear, Roman hit him with 3 consecutive spears, each one more devastating than the last. Between each spear, Jacob Fatu would pull Lesnar back to his feet just so Roman could knock him down again. This wasn't wrestling anymore, this was a public execution, and the worst part was that nobody could stop it. Every time a referee tried to intervene, Jimmy USO would throw them out of the ring. Security tried to rush the ring, but Jacob Fatu single-handedly fought them off like they were nothing. The announce team was in shock, Michael Cole was yelling for someone to stop this madness, Corey Graves was speechless, and even Wade Barrett, who usually enjoys chaos, said this had gone too far. But the bloodline wasn't finished. Roman grabbed a steel chair, the same one Jimmy had used earlier, and he placed it around Lesnar's neck. If you've been watching WWE long enough, you know exactly what this means. This is the setup for the Concerto, one of the most devastating and dangerous moves in wrestling history, something we haven't seen in years because of how legitimately dangerous it is. The crowd was pleading, chanting please don't, and you could see genuine concern on people's faces. Roman positioned himself on one side with a chair raised high, Jacob Fatu on the other side with another chair, and they were about to deliver a double concerto that could have ended Lesnar's career. But just before they could bring those chairs down, the glass shattered. No, not stone cold, but the impact was just as massive. Cody Rhodes sprinted down that ramp like a man possessed, steel chair in hand, and he slid into the ring swinging. He cracked Jimmy USO across the back, then turned and swung at Jacob Fatu, managing to back him into the corner. For a moment, it looked like Cody might actually even the odds, but this is the bloodline we're talking about. Roman Reigns didn't panic, he simply smiled, dropped his chair, and the three members of the bloodline surrounded Cody. This was another statement, another message that even the undisputed WWE champion isn't safe from the tribal chief's wrath. But before they could attack Cody, Seth Rollins' music hit, and the architect ran down to join his sometimes ally, sometimes rival. Now we had a standoff, Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins standing back to back in the center of the ring, surrounded by the bloodline, with an unconscious Brock Lesnar lying between them. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife, and the crowd was absolutely losing their minds. What happened next was a chaotic brawl that spilled out of the ring, into the crowd, and all around the arena. Cody and Seth were fighting for their lives against three of the most dangerous men in WWE, and while they were holding their own, you could tell the numbers game was starting to catch up to them. That's when the cavalry finally arrived. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn rushed out to even the odds, and suddenly we had a full-scale war breaking out on live television. The fight was so intense that Smackdown had to go to an unscheduled commercial break, and when they came back, the bloodline had retreated to the top of the ramp, looking down at the chaos they'd created. But let's talk about the real victim here, Brock Lesnar. Medical personnel rushed to the ring, put a neck brace on him, and loaded him onto a stretcher. The Beast incarnate, the man who's conquered everything WWE has thrown at him, was being wheeled out on a stretcher, and the look in his eyes was something we've never seen before. It wasn't fear, it was something darker, something that promised retribution on a scale we can't even imagine. As they wheeled him past the ramp, Roman Reigns grabbed the microphone one more time and said, "That's what happens when you step to the tribal chief. That's what happens when you forget your place." And to everyone in the back, if you're thinking about being a hero, look at what's left of Brock Lesnar and ask yourself if it's worth it. The implications of this attack are massive, and I mean absolutely massive. First, we have to talk about WrestleMania, because there's no way this doesn't play into the biggest show of the year. Roman Reigns has been teasing that he wants his championship back, that he wants to reclaim what he believes is rightfully his, and now he's shown that he's willing to do absolutely anything to get it. Cody Rhodes is the current champion, and he just inserted himself into this war, which means we could be looking at a collision course between these two at WrestleMania. But now you add Brock Lesnar into the mix, a man who's going to want revenge more than anything else in his life, and you've got the potential for the most explosive main event scene WWE has had in years. Then there's Jacob Fatu, who proved once again why he's the most dangerous acquisition WWE has made in recent memory. This man moves like a cruiserweight but hits like a super heavyweight, and his loyalty to Roman Reigns makes him an unstoppable force. Jimmy USO's transformation has been equally fascinating because he's gone from the lovable, fun-loving twin to a cold, calculated enforcer who will do whatever his tribal chief asks without hesitation. This version of the bloodline might actually be more dangerous than when they had the undisputed tag team championships because now they're not bound by titles or rules, they're just pure chaos. The WWE universe is divided right now, and I'm seeing it all over social media. Some people are calling this the greatest heel work they've ever seen, praising Roman Reigns for creating genuine heat and making people care about storylines again. Others are saying it went too far, that the violence was too realistic and uncomfortable to watch. But isn't that the point? Isn't that what makes this so compelling? We're supposed to be angry, we're supposed to want to see the bloodline get what's coming to them, and that's exactly what's going to drive ratings through the roof in the coming weeks. Now, I need you to do something for me right now. Drop a comment below and tell me what you think happens next. Does Brock Lesnar come back for revenge? Does Cody Rhodes team with unlikely allies to take down the bloodline? Is this all building to a massive elimination match at WrestleMania? I want to hear your theories, your predictions, everything you're thinking because that's what makes this community special. And if you haven't already, smash the like button and share this video because wrestling content creators like us depend on your support to keep bringing you the latest news, analysis, and breakdowns. The road to WrestleMania just got infinitely more interesting, and the Bloodline has positioned themselves as the most dominant force in all of professional wrestling. Roman Reigns isn't just the tribal chief anymore, he's become something more dangerous, more calculated, and more willing to cross lines that others won't. What we witnessed on Smackdown wasn't just an attack, it was a statement that will echo throughout WWE for months, possibly years to come. The Beast has been brutalized, the champion has been warned, and the Bloodline stands tall above everyone. This is the kind of storytelling that reminds us why we fell in love with wrestling in the first place, and I can't wait to see what happens next.